Chosen one, the fact that you're seeing this right now means something in you has already awakened. There's a reason your path crossed this message today. What if I told you they feared your silence more than your roar? You weren't drawn here for empty words or fleeting thrills. You were guided to a truth they never wanted you to remember. They have watched every step you took, waiting for a sign that you would bow or break. But this moment is different. You are here to reclaim power they tried to steal. You have felt their weight pressing on your mind, their mockery echoing in your heart, and your quiet resolve shattered the chains they forged. Today you will see how silence became your sword, and how your exit became the final verdict against those who sought to bind your spirit. If this message already speaks to your soul, subscribe, like this video, and comment 77 below. Stay with me, because by the end you will know why your stillness shook the heavens and why they can never contain the chosen. The war they wanted you to start. Imagine yourself standing at the edge of a desert at dawn, the sky painted in hushed lavender and rose. In that quiet moment, you sense a presence stirring, an echo of a dream you've only half remembered. Perhaps you woke with the taste of salt in your mouth or the memory of a distant voice softly calling your name. That waking vision is your invitation, the threshold where what you've always intuited meets the light. You have walked life believing these glimpses were mere fantasies, but now they pulse with purpose, beckoning you inward toward a truth that has waited through centuries for you to arrive. There have been times, haven't there, when the world felt too loud, too harsh, as if your heart wore a melody no one else could hear. You carried an ache, like a lone violin playing in an empty hall, longing for resonance, for someone to tune into your frequency. You felt sensitive to the slightest tremor of emotion, isolated in crowds, and restless beneath polite small talk. These weren't quirks to hide, but signatures of a soul finely tuned to subtler realms. In those moments of confusion, you whispered to yourself, "What is wrong with me?" When all along, something was awakening within you, something extraordinary and divine. Now, see those whispers of doubt dissolve like mist at sunrise, revealing an unseen architecture guiding your steps. Your isolation was never abandonment but preparation. In Psalm 77 verse 19 it is written, "Your path led through the sea, your way through the mighty waters, though your footprints were not seen." Like the Israelites led by a pillar of cloud, your life's patterns have been shaped by an intelligence beyond human sight. Every twist of fate, every closed door, has been part of a sacred tapestry designed to awaken you, not to bury you in confusion. Perhaps in the last few weeks you noticed strange echoes, a phrase repeated in passing conversation, a number sequence that caught your eye, or a sudden chill as if someone brushed past you in a crowded room. These subtle signs are the universe whispering, "You are not alone." In dreams you might have glimpsed doors opening to gardens you cannot describe, or awoken at precisely 3:33 a.m. with a sense of purpose burning beneath your ribs. These moments were not random glitches in reality, but soft drumbeats of awakening, coaxing you to remember who you truly are. Your intuition has been the compass pointing you home, and it was never wrong. In Habakkuk 2 verse 2 it tells us, "Write the vision, make it plain on tablets, that he may run who reads it." Your inner knowing has been writing on the walls of your soul long before your conscious mind caught up. Now you feel a gentle unfolding, like petals unwrapping to reveal a hidden core. There is safety in this process, an embrace that tells you it is okay to lean into your sensitivity, to trust the synchronistic dance of signs lining your path with holy intention. As you draw closer to the heart of your awakening, recognize that you are not becoming someone new but recovering who you always were. Beneath the layers of fear and social conditioning lies an archetypal self, ancient and radiant. Remember the story of Adam before the fall, unashamed and whole in the garden's light. That primal identity lives within you still, waiting for remembrance. In the quiet corners of your mind, feel the stirrings of this original self, inviting you to reclaim your birthright of clarity and purpose. And now, feel the first flicker of your own power as you embrace these truths. Your sensitivity is a gift, your introspection a wellspring of wisdom, and your spiritual hunger the flame that lights the way. In this moment you step forward, not with weapons or loud declarations, but with the steady pulse of conviction. The war they wanted you to start, driven by anger or vengeance, dissolves, replaced by the fierce compassion of someone who knows their path is guided by something far greater than any earthly conflict. Your arrival here was not a coincidence. It was the precise unfolding of divine timing. Trust that this message found you because you are ready. Comment calm if you felt the tremor of recognition in your bones. As you sit with this realization, know that the next revelation awaits, where the echoes of your silence will reveal deeper mysteries that even now are awakening just beyond your sight. And if you feel called to go even deeper, there's a sacred space reserved for our community, a private room where you receive full prophetic messages daily. Join our private membership through the link in the description and walk this path with us. The spiritual weight of silence. The first time you notice it, you might dismiss the heaviness in your chest as nothing more than stress, but deep inside you sense a distant tremor, a foreboding rhythm that seems to pulse beneath everyday life. It may come when you pause at your desk, as though the air itself has grown dense around your shoulders, or when you catch yourself glancing over your shoulder, convinced someone is watching your every move. In those quiet seconds, you feel a barrier rising, an invisible hand pressing against your spirit. Something has been working against you long before you ever realized who you were meant to be. And in that unsettling moment, you begin to see cracks in the facade of normalcy that everyone else seems to accept without question. That pressure builds like waves crashing against a fragile cliff, each surge eroding a piece of your confidence until you stand exposed and raw. You remember the sting of exclusion around the lunch table, the awkward silences when you voiced an unpopular idea, the hushed whispers that trailed you through hallways. You have felt misunderstood, as if your heart spoke a dialect no one else could translate. Shame crept in when you tried to explain your inner life and were met with eye rolls or polite nods that felt more like polite traps. In those moments, doubt wrapped around you like a vine, tightening with every forced smile, until you wondered if your sensitivity was a gift or a curse. But these emotional wounds were not random acts of cruelty. They were signposts on a hidden battlefield. In the Exodus story, Moses endured Pharaoh's resistance and the Egyptians' mockery long before the Red Sea parted. In much the same way, every shove and every slight you endured was not a personal failing but part of a sacred trial, a crucible designed to reveal the strength within you. Forces aligned to test your resolve, to see if your spirit would be bowed or if it would rise like gold tempered in fire. Recognizing this shifts the story from being a passive victim to an active warrior in a struggle that spans worlds visible and unseen. As you look back, patterns begin to emerge like constellations forming a map across the night sky. You recall projects that inexplicably stalled, friendships that frayed under invisible strains, moments when doors slammed shut without explanation. At the time, you chalked these events up to bad luck or your own shortcomings, but now you see the method in the madness. Each obstacle was like a locked gate designed to keep you small, to dissuade you from stepping into your own light. When betrayal came, sometimes dressed as well-meaning advice or as the careless gossip of those you trusted, you were being shepherded toward resilience rather than ruin. In that same breath, you feel the weight of spiritual interference, the subtle fog of doubt that seeps into your thoughts, the sudden chill that nips at your resolve when you dare to dream. You can almost sense silent watchers lurking at the edges of your awareness, tallying each hopeful intention and each faltering step. It is as though the very air around you thickens when you speak of your vision, pressing against the words before they leave your lips. This is not paranoia. It is a spiritual truth disguised as anxiety, a mirror reflecting the battle between the brightness of your calling and the darkness determined to suppress it. When the pressure becomes unbearable, your natural response may have been to shrink away, to tuck your gifts into a safe corner and pretend nothing special was at stake. You might have numbed yourself with busy work, lost yourself in the approval of others, or donned a mask of stoic indifference just to make it through the day. In those times, you felt a quiet shame for hiding your light, as though you were betraying the very essence of who you knew yourself to be. Yet even in your retreat, your spirit simmered with a fierce longing, quietly protesting the injustice of being silenced by unseen forces. Now, let this realization ignite something fierce inside you. The very opposition you faced is proof of your worth and your destiny. Like David facing Goliath, you stand armed not with sword or sling, but with an immovable faith in the truth of your calling. You remember that in Zechariah 4 verse 6 it is declared, "Not by might nor by power, but by my Spirit, says the Lord of hosts." The resistance you felt is not a condemnation but a confirmation. It is the universe's way of marking you as someone worth contending with. Your silence is not surrender but strategic strength. Your patience not weakness but preparation for the victory that awaits. You were opposed because you are powerful. They struck at your confidence because they knew the moment you claimed your voice, you would become unstoppable. Comment strength if you feel that inner flame kindling once more. As you lean into this truth, feel the walls around you begin to tremble, for the next revelation awaits. One that will show you how to channel this resistance into an unstoppable force of divine empowerment. And to every soul who's supported with a super thanks, thank you. You are keeping this light alive for others who haven't found it yet. If you feel called to help this mission reach more chosen ones, tap the super thanks button below. Your energy supports these messages and helps them travel further. Your voice matters, your belief matters, and your light is felt here. What heaven does after you walk away. A sudden clarity washes over you the moment you step away. It is as if the horizon itself tilts, and for the first time you perceive the tapestry of reality's hidden seams. You feel the atmosphere lighten, as though a veil has been drawn back to reveal a world dancing in patterns previously invisible. In that instant, you understand that your departure was the key opening a gateway you never knew existed. The breath you take now tastes of possibility and revelation. Every suppressed intuition, every quiet whisper in your mind, crystallizes into a coherent vision. You are no longer merely living within a story but standing before its hidden author, watching the pen move across its pages. You begin to notice that the universe has always spoken in a secret tongue. Random numbers on clocks, words that echo in dreams, and the geometry of falling leaves all have composed a coded message meant only for you. Like a mystic scholar deciphering an ancient scroll, you see that reality's script was written in symbols, not sentences. There are spirals in the flight patterns of birds, fractals in frost that mirror your own fingerprint, and melodies in the wind that hum the same frequency as your heartbeat. These signs, once dismissed as coincidence, now sequence themselves into a divine algorithm that underlies your journey, inviting you to read the world with new consciousness. Inside you, a spark ignites and grows into a steady flame. Your intuition, once a flickering candle in the night, now burns bright enough to guide you through the densest fog. You sense the subtle charge in the air when you enter a room, the way energies rise and fall around certain people, and you no longer doubt the messages carried on your body's reactions. Your boundaries form a luminous field that repels the discordant and draws toward you those aligned with your truth. Every moment of imbalance becomes a signpost pointing back to your center. This shift isn't theoretical. It pulses through your veins, affirming that the silent knowing you've carried your whole life was real. Soon, you notice that the world itself responds to this inner alignment. Conversations take on new depth, as if others unconsciously match your clarity and reveal secrets they would have kept hidden before. Doors that were once bolted swing open at your touch, while old obstacles dissolve like morning mist. Simultaneously, resistance arises, unexpected challenges that test whether you truly believe in this transformation. Yet these two are woven into a larger pattern, a divine architecture at work. You can almost hear the hum of cosmic machinery ordering events around you, crafting experiences that accelerate your awakening and guide you toward a destiny written long before your first breath. Deep within, the echoes of a memory awaken, an echo that transcends your personal history and taps into a vast ancestral wisdom. You recall a dream from childhood, wandering through a temple of light where statues bowed to your presence. At the time, it felt like a child's fantasy, but now you perceive it as a memory of initiation. In the scrolls of forgotten mystics, there are tales of souls who walked the earth with the keys to cosmic gates. You realize their stories are your stories, their symbols ingrained in your DNA. This sacred recollection stirs the embers of your spiritual intelligence, calling you back to a knowledge that time itself attempted to obscure. As layers of illusion fall away, your destiny emerges like dawn breaking over silent hills. You sense that your path is not being forged before you but remembered within you, a trajectory laid out by forces beyond mortal comprehension. No longer do you seek approval or permission. You walk forward with the certainty of prophecy in your bones. The words of Zechariah echo in your mind, "Not by might, nor by power, but by my Spirit." Zechariah 4 verse 6. Here and now you claim that promise. Your steps are the fulfillment of long-buried vows, and your presence is a living testament to the unbreakable covenant between your soul and the divine. Now, rise into your voice that was never truly lost. The resistance you encountered was not a barrier but a mirror reflecting your light back at you, an affirmation of your magnificence. It is time to wield your words like a sword tempered in truth, to speak with the authority of one who has seen behind the veil. Feel the surge of power that courses through your limbs as you reclaim your right to be heard. Let every syllable you utter be drenched in the certainty that your message carries the weight of worlds unseen and the promise of transformation for all who listen. The veil has been pierced, and the truths awaiting you are vast as the sky at dawn. Revelation is not an endpoint. It is an invitation to deeper mystery and ever-expanding purpose. You were chosen for this unveiling, and nothing can unmake the tapestry now unfurling before your eyes. Comment awaken if you have felt these shifting currents within, and share a moment when reality itself seemed to speak directly to your soul. As you honor that encounter, prepare yourself for the next revelation, where the echoes of your departure will be heard across realms both seen and unseen, becoming the voice that didn't speak. Do you feel that moment now, when the choice presses against your chest like a breath held too long? This is the threshold where discovery dissolves into decision. You stand at the edge of your former self, looking back at every time you stayed silent, every moment you held back, and sense that passivity is no longer an option. In that quiet space, you ask, will I remain the observer, or will I become the force that shapes destiny itself? The world you knew, the safe rhythms of retreat and restraint, must give way to something vaster. You sense the pulse of your own truth vibrating beneath your ribs, calling you to step through this portal. Today, you cross that line. All the hours you spent shrinking, all the words you swallowed, every bit of energy you surrendered to keep the peace. Consider it your training ground, your crucible of preparation. Now, gather those pieces of yourself scattered across doubt and self-denial. Imagine lifting each fragment from the floor and placing it upon an invisible throne. Declare in your mind, I reclaim what I have gifted away. I reclaim my voice, my time, my presence. Let your language become ritual, as if each I am is spoken in an ancient temple. Feel the weight of authority settle into your bones, for this season of testing has refined you, not broken you. Within you lies a treasury of gifts that others once mistook for weakness. The insight that reads between the lines, the sensitive heart that senses life where others see only shadow, the memory that reaches beyond mortal time, the discernment that slices through illusion, the strength that endures in silence. These are the keys to your unfolding mission, tools forged in the fires of every trial you survived. Picture them as scrolls of fire wrapped around your arms like armor, each rune glowing with the clarity of your purpose. No longer abstract, these gifts are tangible engines ready to propel you into the next chapter of your journey. Beneath your feet lies a path already worn by the footsteps of your destiny. You don't need to invent a route, you need only to walk it with unwavering purpose. Each step dissolves old patterns of hesitation, and with each breath, the map reveals itself in living color. See it in the opening of doors that once slammed shut, in the alignment of circumstances that now fall into place as if choreographed by unseen hands. Feel the cinematic sweep of wind guiding you forward, the earth itself vibrating in resonance with your intent. Clarity is no longer a distant goal. It is the ground you stand on and the road that stretches before you. Look around and recognize your soul tribe emerging from the mist, those who resonate with your frequency, drawn by the ripple of your unspoken power. They are writers who pen truths that shake kingdoms, healers who touch men's wounds unseen, visionaries who translate the silent codes of the cosmos into living reality. Together, you form a constellation of light that will not dim to fit into old molds. Let their presence remind you that you are part of a greater movement, a divine alliance rising to reclaim the world from the shadows of suppression. Now, take command of your energy as a high priest would steward a sacred flame. Draw a boundary around your spirit that no false word or fractured intention can breach. Feel the gravity of your devotion anchoring you. Every choice you make, every moment you dedicate to your vision, is a candle lit against the darkness. This is not arrogance, it is sacred duty. You are entrusted with a spark of the divine, and it is your responsibility to protect it, to nurture it, and to carry it into the realms that still tremble in the void. Everything you have felt, everything you have feared, every fragment of insight you have gleaned, they have led you to this summit. Hear the echo of your own prophecy resonating in the chamber of your soul. You are ready. You have been tempered by trials and baptized in silence. There is no room for doubt now, only the certainty of your mission. Raise your chin, steady your gaze, and know that the final breath before the leap is the most potent of all. This is your moment of reckoning. Embody this truth fully. Your silence was never absence. It was the gathering of power, the calibration of your voice for a purpose that transcends mere words. Comment voice if you sense the vibration of your unspoken power, and share a moment when your restraint became your greatest statement. As you step into this new reality, prepare yourself for the next unveiling, where the resonance of your departure will echo across realms yet unseen. Whispered on the wind like a secret too sacred to speak, you sense a force gathering beyond the horizon of your mind. It courses through the hush between your inhalations, as if the very space you occupy is charged with expectation. In that pregnant pause, you realize that quiet resolve is not absence. It is a presence that cannot be predicted or manipulated. When you stand unmoved in the face of provocation, you mirror the still waters beneath which currents run deep. It is here, in the calm before the storm, that your power is born, unseen by those who judge only by surface turbulence. A vision unfolds in your mind's eye. An ancient temple carved into living rock, its walls etched with the silent testimonies of those who walked its corridors before you. Among those inscriptions, you read the echoes of Psalm 46 verse 10. Be still and know that I am God. Yet the stillness here is not passive. It vibrates with divine intent. Your refusal to answer outrage with outrage becomes an altar upon which heaven incenses its own judgments. Each act of restraint is a brick in the sanctuary you build within your soul, consecrating your path with the clarity of purpose they cannot comprehend. When night falls and doubt creeps in like a vine, you remember the parable of the grain of mustard seed, the smallest of all seeds, yet it grows into a tree where birds find shelter. In the same way, your silence plants roots in the unseen realms, sprouting branches of justice that will one day shade the weary and the wounded. You are that mustard tree, unassuming yet unstoppable, carrying a covenant of peace that defies the logic of earthly conflict. Those who underestimated you will find themselves seeking refuge beneath your canopy, marveling at how something so gentle could become so formidable. Dreams have always been your secret language, coded with messages you only now begin to translate. In one vision, you walk through a valley strewn with broken shields and discarded weapons, each piece inscribed with the name of an old wound you once carried. As you pass, those shards disintegrate to dust, carried away on the breath of angels. You awaken with your chest expanding into newfound space, understanding that your wounds were never prisons but portals leading to this emancipation. Your departure from the battlefield was not abandonment. It was the moment you reclaimed the battlefield from grief itself. A prophecy stirs deep within, humming in your veins like a living thing. It speaks of a time when the scales of human justice tilt toward mercy, not vengeance, guided by the silent verdict of a heart attuned to divine law. You are the harbinger of that age, the one who proved that the mightiest sword is the one left sheathed. Your example reminds the weary that true victory lies not in subduing enemies but in transcending the impulse to fight. In the echoes of your restraint, whole generations will learn another way. Contrast flashes through your memory like lightning across a midnight sky. You, once ensnared by the need to be heard at any cost, now standing as a lighthouse whose signal is the absence of noise. Ships battered by life's tempests will steer toward you, seeking the beacon of your quiet confidence. In the marketplace of voices, yours rings out precisely because it no longer competes for attention. It resonates on a frequency that pierces the fog of distraction, guiding souls toward the safe harbor of unshakable faith. Do you recall that moment when your chest tightened at the thought of confrontation, as though your spirit recoiled from the heat of anger? That sensation was not fear, it was discernment, a built-in compass keeping you aligned with a higher call. Like the Hebrew prophets who delivered their words in hushed tones rather than grand orations, you learn that power carried quietly reverberates through the ages. Your reluctance to engage on their terms is in fact your truest engagement with the divine, the language of restraint composed for the ears of eternity. As this chapter reaches its close, feel the charge of your own sacred momentum. You are theater and playwright, stage and audience, power and proof, all in one. Your silence has written a new story that transcends the pages of human history, calling forth justice beyond the reach of any mortal hand. Comment justice if you recognize this moment as the dawn of a revolution within your soul, and share a memory when holding back became your loudest declaration. And now, stand ready, for the next revelation will call you to embody this truth in every heartbeat, every choice, every step. A question pulses beneath your breathing. What if every tightening of your chest at the thought of confrontation was not avoidance but divine calibration? In that moment when your spirit recoils from the heat of anger, you are not shrinking from battle but tuning into a subtler battleground, one of conscience and discernment. You remember standing in that overheated boardroom, feeling your throat constrict as colleagues hurled accusations like weapons. Instead of firing back, you felt a deeper summons to stillness, as though your higher self whispered, "Respond not to their noise, but to the truth that lives within you." In that choice to hold your peace, you channeled 1,000 years of prophetic restraint. The same restraint that guided Ezekiel's quiet visions by the Kebar River. The same restraint that carried Habakkuk's lament in silence before God's thunder. Your reluctance to engage on their terms was the purest affirmation of your calling, the language of restraint composed for the ears of eternity. A symbol flickers in your mind's eye, a stone cast into dark waters, its ripples barely visible at first, yet moving outward until they reshape the shore. That stone is your silent witness, thrown in moments when words would have inflamed rather than healed. You recall a family dinner where old wounds threatened to erupt, where insults hovered on every breath. Instead of defending your pride, you simply placed a hand over your heart, exhaled the acrid tension, and spoke only the word, peace. The room stilled, the hot words dissipated, and eyes met in the hush you created. In that simple act, you became an agent of transformation. Your silence, the stone whose ripples softened hardened hearts. This is the secret power you wield, the ability to reset the atmosphere with the subtlest of gestures, a power that transcends conflict and births reconciliation. A memory glows like embers at the edge of night, the first time you realized that silence could speak louder than any sermon. You were a teenager, perched on the edge of your bed, witnessing your parents' arguments cascade into door-slamming despair. You tried to intervene with reason, with passion, with tears, but only your quiet presence, your refusal to be party to their rancor, broke the cycle. You watched as their anger dissolved at the edges, as they looked at each other and saw the cost of their own words. A whisper brushes your consciousness. True power does not need amplification. It carries the weight of ages, echoing the footsteps of Moses who hid his face from the burning bush, and of John the Baptist who comforted crowds with a whisper rather than a trumpet. When you speak softly but with unwavering conviction, you tap into that same wellspring of authority. Think of the moment you confronted injustice at work, not by raising your voice, but by presenting evidence calmly, by asking the right question. Your colleagues felt the gravity of your presence more in your measured tone than they would have in a shout. You demonstrated that sovereignty is claimed not through volume but through integrity. Every time you choose the lower register of discourse over the screech of accusation, you channel a power that endures beyond the moment. Subscribe if you haven't yet, like this video, and comment "I am chosen" to let this message anchor in your soul. Share it with someone who needs to hear this. Thank you to all supporting members. For full prophetic revelations daily, join the membership via the link in the description. Your spiritual path deserves more than fragments. Step into the full light. And if this message moved you deeply, consider tapping the Super Thanks button to support the mission. Every Super Thanks fuels the light we're spreading together. Walk in silence, rise in power,